the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the lit. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the party. Roll up to the.
Good evening. We are live. Green beer tonight, just for the sake of it. Right, let's get straight into the comments, because there's lots to get on with. Is the advert still playing? Who can hear me? Yeah, I'm live now. The adverts are done. Right, evening, folks. Evening, Helen. Evening, Brian. And Belfast is in the house with Patrick. Sean from Birmingham is in. Mark from Fife is in. And yeah, there's a few folk in already. So I just watched Hail Hail from Leeds. Can he beat the ICS? Yep, that is true. Loud and clear. Perfect. Hail Hail peeps. Evening. Anne. Right. Haven't watched Brendan's interview for the game for tomorrow. Tomorrow, Saturday. My days are, see, when you're working and you're doing too much, you forget what day it is. Right. Bias Celtic, who do you think? Expect Lago. And yep. Hi from Greenock. Get spending the money. It says Tam Tierney from Rainwash, Germany. Whatever, Germany's in the house. So, he'll hear from Dunfermline. Who we signed? We haven't signed anybody. This is the issue. The Carol Starfelt deal has gone through. That is confirmed this evening. And signed a 4-year deal. Carol signed a 4-year deal at Celta Vigo. Expect it to be finalised in the next 4 hours. And Celtic will then put out the announcement. So that's the done deal. Carol Starfelt has left the building. He's went to Spain to play his football. And we are sitting with no one. We're sitting with absolute no one. Yet no one signed Starfelt as a way. It's confirmed. No, I don't think the Lager one's fallen through. If you watched, we're going to talk about the Brendan interview first of all. Hail John Cassidy. If you looked, I take it you've all watched Brendan's interview from this afternoon when he was talking about the Aberdeen game, and it's interesting to see that Brendan. We'll talk about Scott Brown first of all. It's interesting to see that Scott. He was, if you remember back, he was doing the coaching with the youth team at the time. And Brendan put a stop to it. Brendan put a stop to it because he said, look, if you look after your body, you're going to have a good few years. And remember, the sound's playing up. It's probably because this fan is on. Right, I'll switch that fan off. Is that better? Is that better? I'm going to talk to you all like this. Right, yes. Right, if you remember back, Brendan said this afternoon, he said Scott was looking at his coaching career back then, and Brendan basically put a stop to it. He put a stop to the Scott's coaching career at the time because he said, look, if you get your fitness together and look after your body, you've got years in you yet. And he did have. And I remember at the time when Brendan first came into the team, I said, Scott Brown's done. Scott Brown's done. He gave a little hint to what he's expecting from a Scottish player that's only got less than a year to go in his contract now. And Turnbull, he's basically threw the gauntlet down to Turnbull and he says, look, Turnbull, if you keep the momentum up, you'll get your new career. You'll get your new contract. He also spoke about the keepers. The interesting thing that he said about the keepers is, he says, heart is heart. You've got years of experience with Hart. You've got everything that you know Hart has in his locker, right? And you also know that James Bentley, you sound as if you're deaf. Anyway, Hart has got what he's got. The interesting comment he made was Bain, he knows what he's got with Bain, and he knows that Scott Bain could be a good number 2/number 3, which makes me suggest that Celtic are still in the market for a keeper. He said about Benji, he said that Benji, he says he's never seen Benji play, which suggests to me that Benji is going to go out on loan. How do you feel about that? I think it's probably good for him. I think he's probably turned around to Benji and said, look, you're not going to get a lot of game time. I would prefer it if you went out on loan so I could see you play. Now, it's not been confirmed. It's not been confirmed, but you could just, if you're reading between the lines on what he actually said this afternoon, he says he knows what he gets from Bain. He knows that Bain can be good number 2. Bain, his exact words was, Bain plays the way that a modern day keeper should play. And the fact that he knows what he can get from him as a number 2/number 3. That was the interesting part of his comment, the /2/3 part. And we're talking about Benji. He says, I've never seen him play, which suggests that he probably needs game time. He's probably one of those ones that will leave to go out on loan. He said that he's spoken to players. He never said that he wasn't looking at the Swede. He just said that he wasn't going to comment about it. He says, if I was to comment on everyone that we were linked with, we'll probably be here all night. When he was asked about Tierney, he did say no comment. He was like, no comment. He's like, I don't go on ifs, nuts, and bibbies, you know. So I think the sign is on the wall for the cream burns that keep lurking in your stream. I'm not really bothered about the current buns anymore. You see them, it's funny because you see the subscriber count go up just before, because they need their 10 minutes before. I've put it up to 10 minutes before they can actually comment. So the subscriber count did take a jump up this evening just before. So yeah, leave them to it. It's good that they want to come and watch what a good podcast is like, and see what the Champions play is like. Anyway, let's go to the comments. Why are we signing injured players? I don't think we're signing them on purpose. If you look at the players that we've signed, it's a bit disappointing. Well, the way that he's looking at it, Marco's going to be back in the middle of September. We're already going to be starting the Champions League campaign then. The talk about last season, was about being in a better place. Now, this is interesting, right? Because as we go, like even talking about the Sevco game, just even looking at where we are just now, right? We're minus Jota, Alistair Johnson, Moy, Starfelt, and O. Right? That's the players that were, apart from, well, O scored 7 goals last season. So at this point, as it stands, do you think we're stronger? Do you think we're stronger or weaker? Tell me in the comments. Put stronger if you think we're stronger, or weaker if you think we're weaker. Frank, you're going to get your one up because I think you got a point. It reeks of skullduggery. What should you expect? With Lowell winning in the house. It's an interesting one, Frank, because my brother played football, and he sent me a good message before we came on. Weaker. Panic. There's one day to go. No, there's not. Weaker. So everyone seems to think that we're weaker. Every cloud has a silver lining. They forgot silver, I think. What? Anyway. James. You're banned. No luck. Anyway. James, the Hun's just been banned. I'm just going to ban them now because I'm not in the mood for them. Right. Anyway, I get to the comment that my brother sent earlier. So, where is it? So the West Ham sticker. Right. Are we really going to go for a guy for West Ham? A West Ham striker? We've been down that road before with a West Ham striker, and look how that ended. He's sitting taking 18 grand a week from us, and you know, I don't think it would be a good idea to go for another West Ham striker. Anyway, right. You need to remember it's a new manager. The players that were signed already, apart from Big Rocky, he said they were already well down the road. So he just signed them off. He needed to assess the squad, the identity and the recruitment types that he wants and the position, so that takes a bit of time. I reckon it would have went a lot faster had Ange still been at Celtic. But changes change. We're definitely weaker, and he said so on Saturday. He said that we're weaker on Saturday, but there is still 5 weeks to go before the Champions League, and you know, and there's still plenty of time to get people in. We hope. We hope. Anyway, what he's talking about in the comments. Remember, Dyson is a striker, played out of position by Ange. Does that mean that we're okay for strikers then? Are we in a are we in a better position uh, to what we were at the end of the season? Remember, Ange used to always said we need to, as long as we come out the window stronger. At this moment, um, are we stronger? A lot of people are saying that we're weaker. So, you know, but I'm not panicking about it. You know, there's nothing to panic about yet. This team is still strong enough to win the league, but it was all about being stronger going into the Champions League. And as it stands at this moment, not we're not as strong as what we probably thought we were going to be going into the Champions League. Now, it all depends. Can you see Celtic going out and spending £9 million on a keeper? You don't know. Is he going to bring in some experience? Is he going to bring in a 30-odd-year-old player for West Ham? You know, are you going to bring in a 32-year-old striker from West Ham? Really? Players pass medicals so they can't be injured. Yeah, they also have to pass the medicals so they can't be injured when we sign them. We need positions badly, a keeper and a forward. A lot of people are saying that we've got people that can score goals, but the fact that we've only one fit striker, and we know that Eisen can play through the middle, play as a striker. But it's been a few years since he's played there. So I don't think that we're weaker, but we need to strengthen for the Champions League. This is the whole point. As it stood at the end of the last campaign, it was widely reported that we had 30 million to spend on this transfer window without losing any players, without having the need to sign anybody. And he said the biggest problem that we have with this transfer window is for the first time have players that might move on. We have players that teams might want to come in for. And Ange Postecoglou said his very last interview that he gave for Celtic, he says, look, never mind talking about me. He said, the fact is some of these players will move on this summer. So tell me what you think. Centre back. We definitely need the top drawer striker. Kyogo picks up an injury and we're goosed. Yeah. We need a striker before O get injured, one that's first team ready. Yeah, because O's still only 22, remember. He is only 22. Putting him in the Champions League, it's not going to cut it, I'm afraid. You know, it's not going to cut it. We need someone that is a bit older, that has a bit more experience on his head, that can play, that knows how to play European football. Definitely a 30-odd-year-old striker for West Ham. I don't think that is the answer, but you never know. Etrix, remember Forgotten War. What are you talking about? Greetings from Gibraltar. I don't think that we're weaker, but signing players that are injured doesn't help at the moment. Right. Maybe missed Peter. The players that were down on last season. Now remember, it was all about coming out the window stronger. And as it stands just now, for the team this weekend, we are without Jota, without Alistair Johnson, without Moy, without Starfelt, and we're without O as backup to Kyogo. Now, those guys were all tried and trusted players. They were all pretty successful. They won us the treble easily. So I think it's a little bit weaker when it comes to squad. Now, Brendan has said, he said, look, there's things in the pipeline. And, he's not going to comment on anything until the deal is done. I think he's hoping for high things from Turnbull this season. I think Turnbull is probably one of the ones to look out for. especially since the way that he spoke this afternoon about Ange Postecoglou, about Bruni, and how he extended Bruni's career and how he said, "Look, if you look after yourself, you make him better." He's probably said something similar to Turnbull, and basically give him the give him that little bit of motivation to earn that contract. He wants somebody to earn the contract. Anyway, we should really be really excited. We are all really excited about this season. On the for the Aussie, for the travel, progress about Europe. I'm just underwhelmed. I think we're all underwhelmed. I think we were all promised. We weren't promised. The speak was all about. The talk was all about making the team better going into the Champions League. And as it stands right now, we're actually not any stronger. We might have no, I don't think the squad's stronger. We brought in we can't really talk about the Korean guys. I mean, Yang's probably the one that's going to stand out. But when you're looking at, yep, Turnbull is the dark horse, and has he got a point to prove? It does have a point to prove. Lee Morrison, it's always good to get Lee on. I'm not worried. I believe he'll sign up new players. The club's had an eye on. If he's saying panic buys, Turnbull needs to turn up every game. Good luck to him. Hell will. Yep, I think Turnbull is the one that he's been thrown down the gauntlet. I mean, I say that a lot, but it has been. It's Brendan said to him, he said, "Look, if you think you're good enough, and I think you're good enough, you know, show me, and I'll give you that new contract." And we've spent 10 million. We've spent 12 million. The board needs to stop messing about. From transfers, kitties, 10 million spent, 30 million brought in. Starfelt goes. So going with the money that has been brought in from Jota and it's been brought in from Starfelt, say it's only 5 million. We are still sitting pretty, but we need to be spending and bringing in a couple of players that will hold us in good stead for the Champions League. Yang reminds me of Wang from Wolves. I'm excited about that. Yes, believe in Brendan. I do believe in him. But what I have this niggling feeling that at the back of my mind, Ange was playing a game of poker with the board. And Ange, you remember Ange was saying that if you go out and spend 15 million on a player, you can turn them into a 30 million pound player. And I think that's where things were going wrong. I think this man forever was a very good live chat. Does that is I think it's just maybe this is me thinking out loud. This is me thinking out loud. I think one of the reasons that Ange decided to go is probably he wasn't convinced that the board were going to spend good money and bring that next level player in. Brendan knows the club inside out, and if you listen to what Brendan says, he knows what he has to work within. You know, he knows his remit. He knows what he has to work within. He knows the type of players that we buy in. You know, the type of players that we sell on. This is the bit that's just niggling away at the back of my mind, and it all just runs coherently with Lawwell coming back in the background. Anyway, we do need to get a defender, and let's see if there is. So the big news, obviously, tonight is the fact that Carl Starfelt has signed a long-term contract, a 4-year deal with Celta Vigo. Celtic will rubber stamp it tomorrow and agree the financial terms. Brendan Rodgers says that he has a plan for hero Joe Hart. Well, let me see. Let me see about that one. He knows what he gets from Joe Hart, he said, but he does also say that he knows what he gets from Scott Bain. And what he gets from Scott Bain is Scott Bain is a player that knows how to play modern football, play the ball with his feet. He hasn't seen Benji. Oh, I've seen that Spurs got beat last night, but Barcelona. That was quality. Anyway, Martin McKenna. Hail from Dublin. Paul Burrow from Glasgow. Castle Milk is in the house. Right, let's get back to the news. Obviously, Romano did say that the deal was done with Celta Vigo. Been there, done that. Brendan Rodgers talking about the goalkeeping situation. The goalkeeping situation The fact that it's looking like Bates either going to be number 2 or number 2 or number 3, and you have a sneaky feeling that Brendan's going to go out and get a top class keeper. You just have that feeling, and the fact that he said his exact words were Bain knows how to play number 2 stroke number 3. So to me, it says that Benji Siegrist is going to be the one that goes out on loan, which I don't know how he feels about that. But then again, he might go to Australia on loan. I don't know. His woman's down that way. You never know. You never know. Anyway, let's see what the comments are saying. Big Stevie says, if you spend 15 million on a player, you have more money to lose if it doesn't work out. I think sticking with their current system and Brendan improving players is the way to go. Is that going to have an immediate impact on this season's Champions League? Because remember, this is probably going to be the last season that we'll get directly into the Champions League. You know, send the Dundee United keeper back to Dundee United. That's going down a level. That's going down a level. You know, want him going down a level. But then again, he got relegated to Dundee United before. So, I know a couple of girls that stop more balls than Joe Hart. Oh my goodness. Anyway, James is in the house next season tonight. James, got time and money to pull out another 2 or 3 quality players soon. I hope we get them in soon because I want to be going into the Champions League with a squad that we think actually might not finish bottom. It looks as if we're going to be in the 4th pot again in the Champions League. So, you know, the teams that we're going to be up against are going to be cracking teams. You know, there's no crap teams in the Champions League. And it's going to be luck of the draw again. And I don't think the draw has ever went our way. So the excitement of going into the Champions League and this team, Brendan seems to think that the team will be a bit further forward in 5 weeks' time. Yes, they will be. They'll be fitter. They'll be more together. But it's the same team that went into the Champions League last year. And let's be honest. Let's be honest. It wasn't the best Champions League campaign. I mean, you think back to, well, it's hard thinking back that long ago when we actually had a squad that could make Celtic Park a fortress, and I don't think that we've got that just yet. And I think we're a couple of years away from that again. And that's just my honest opinion, and that's what it is. This channel's called One Celtic Fans View, and it's all about getting your views up. So let's get I'm getting pissed off with the last of transfer activity. Let's grab some more of the comments. We need experienced players if we want to make any impact on you. Exactly. We keep taking risks on project players. Even Baz from the Midlands. This is Stuart. We need Holy Goalie's nephew. The board concerned about the Champions League money. We've got the Champions League money, Peter. Do you know? And we had allegedly 30 million to spend. So, you know, it's difficult. It's difficult. We're guaranteed that money this year. We're guaranteed that Champions League money. We're not having to go through qualifiers. We're not having to hang about and wait on buying players to see if we're going to get into the Champions League. You know, it's completely different this year. Anyway, PSV ramped up the game last night 4-1, and we can easily win 6-7 for them. And hopefully PSV will do the new co. I really wish Law. Yep, I think even boys, what's happening? Says Liam. Sorry, mate. I'm watching a politics stream at the same time. You're watching politics at the same time. What politics? Just tell me what politics. And is it? Hey, what politics? The UK, Scottish politics. Anyway, the window's been underwhelming. Says Stuart. Yes. It has been really underwhelming. I think we were all expecting. We had a squad that we knew there were only 2 or 3 good players for making it a team that was give us that hope that we're not going to just finish with 2 points in the Champions League. My fear is if we're going to the Champions, I think the defence might be a bit more defensive minded this season in the Champions League. Brendan will make sure of that, so we shouldn't kind of think that it's going to be as bad as last season, but you never know. We need to stop being tight asses and get the checkbook out. Yes, we do. Stuart, it's not even as big as underwhelming. The board are flip-flopping around. They are that. Do you think we'll be spoiled, Stuart? No, I think Ange Postecoglou had his mind made up, and he dealt directly with the owner when he came in. Um, Brendan is back dealing with Peter Lawwell, and it seems it's always the Celtic way. And we can make strides forwards, and we can be on top of our game, and we don't improve. Now you could say we were spoiled because Ange would have had these players in by now. He would have had the players in that he wanted, and he would have made sure that they were bed in before the yes, you want to forgotten. There you go. Um, yes, yeah, that's it, James. You've got it in one. You've taken the words out of my mouth. So I'll leave that there for a little minute. You've taken the words exactly out of my mouth. And there's a lot of Celtic fans thinking it. There's a lot of Celtic fans thinking it. I mean, bringing Peter Lawwell back, it's unbelievable for me personally. I mean, don't get me wrong, he done fantastic for the club. But when his time was up, his time was up, and it was time to move on. There was the whole revamp of the board. There was the guy that came in for the rugby, and he was wanting to do big things with Celtic, and he was quickly pushed out the door. He was quickly pushed out the door because he didn't come from the inner circle. We then put a guy in place, Nichols, who's been relatively good. He's been relatively good. And then Lowell comes back in 2 years later, and then all of a sudden, it's kind of changed a bit. It reminds me of Jabba the Hutt more than all the money. Oh God, yep. Anyway, let's move on. Get a lot of face chatting. Lowell loves the limelight. He does love the limelight. He does love that. He did a fantastic job for the shareholders, and he did. And remember, he was getting £1 million bonus. He was getting £1 million bonus, so it was all about making sure that he was getting that bonus. Now, some Celtic fans might say, "Oh, what are you getting him stick for? What are you getting him stick for?" It's not. I've spent tens of thousands following Celtic, and I've got just as right as anybody to have my say. And it's called the One Celtic Fans View, so you can all have your say as well. Anyway, let's move on. PSV, yeah, PSV must be in their place. Anyway, you mean the club that was there now? The club's in a good financial state. Why aren't we buying players? It's as simple as that. Lawwell is not as bad as people think. We didn't go bust, says Stephen. Yeah, we didn't go bust, but we also, you've got to remember, that was the reason that Brendan Rodgers left the first time, because he wasn't allowed the money, and he wasn't allowed the money to spend on players. So, you know, anyway, let's move on. Trying to get a fiver of oil, trying to get some action from none. I don't know. Trying being in Spain. Right. Let's see if there's any updates on injury news. So there's not really. I mean, the main update was all done in the last video. We spoke about players that are coming back from injury. Alistair Johnson's back in training, which is good. We really need Alistair Johnson back. We really need him back. He's going to be back in September. And then you've got Marco. None of us have seen Marco play yet. Is he a replacement for Jota? Tell me what you think in the comments. That one, how long have we been going? We've gone for 28 minutes. It's not the Champions League money that counts. It's the TV money. Seems like Brighton Bournemouth who can spend 15 million on one player plus wages. Yep. We lost the 10 because Lawwell, bottom line. Yes, and his need and want to keep Neil Lennon. I think Neil Lennon, it was, it's all fine him coming out and saying Neil Lennon started the 9, and I was there, Dave. Neil Lennon signed. I was at the front of the stadium with my daughters, and I've a video to prove it on this channel. And he's done his job for us. He'd done his job. He was fantastic at his time as manager. I'll never forget that night against Barcelona with the Tony Watt goal. He'd done absolutely brilliant. And then Brendan came in and took us to that next level. Brendan wasn't given the money, and for Lawwell to come out and say it's right to bring Neil back because Neil started the 9 and Neil should finish the 9 was something like the dark ages for me. It was, and I'll always remember the cup final, and everybody that was on a bus at that cup final when it came over the radio that Peter Lawwell went into the shower room and gave Lenny the job full time for the next season, killed the atmosphere on the bus. Absolutely killed the atmosphere on the bus. Everyone knew it was the wrong decision going into the 10. The 10 was the most important one. The 10 was the one that we always knew that they were going to come back and they spend like they'd never spent before. They push us. And coronavirus and everything came, and playing in front of no fans and everything else. I mean, you can make excuses, but when it comes down to it, it should never have been allowed to happen in the first place. We should have been that far ahead of them that they should never have got a sniff. Even with coronavirus, they should never have got a sniff. Anyway, the transfer window ends at the end of August. Let's wait and see because there's plenty of time for Brendan to act. We all know that Brendan is going to act. We all know that he's going to bring in players. You want players to come in that know how the team. Brendan's contradicting himself here. One hand, he's saying we've got 5 weeks left, right? We've got 4 weeks left, 5 weeks left till the Champions League. We've got time to get players in. On the other hand, he's been saying we've been having meetings with the players, talking about finding out the strengths and weaknesses of the players and making sure that the players know everything about each other and there's a bonding spirit. In this hand, you've got the players that are coming in 4 weeks' time that aren't part of that are new to the squad, that don't know how the ins and out of each player. So tell me what you think of that. I mean, that's am I over analysing it? Brendan does look relaxed. He does. But Brendan's also a good poker player. Anyway, Marco could never possibly overshadow Jota. The boy just wants to run at players. Have you seen Marco play, Martin? Because I've never seen him play. And to be fair, we'd never seen Jota play before he came. So, anyway, we need to hurry. We do need to hurry. We need to bed in players before the Champions League. Yes, we do. Tierney doesn't need to go to Saudi. No, he doesn't. That correct, Baz. Brendan's holding back the true picture. I'm not going to comment. I think he maybe is. I think there's. I don't know. Do you think there will be 3 weeks? Let me just see that. Transfer window ends the 1st of September. It does that. Do you think he'll say 3 weeks? Next, Baz. I have no idea. Big Oz was up at Celtic Park to see Glasgow Celtic wins. The Big Oz was at Celtic Park in 2001. Yeah. Ange Postecoglou. Yeah, we know that. Can't wait for the Champions League. Yeah, I can't wait for the Champions League as well. What happened to the 20? Yeah, exactly. We're all speaking about this. And Lennon, as you said, did his job. I was Mubarak Hamdan, and as you said, it went from celebration to a week. It did, William. It did, and it was, it was the most bizarre thing ever. It was the most bizarre, completely bizarre. And it's like it went from celebration to week, and the bus journey. We weren't even out of Glasgow. When it was announced, and it was a long drive home. Anyway, new defence weekend. Every sentence a risk. I believe Brendan has been promised the transfer record breaker. Do you think so? I hope so. I hope he gets to bring in a good player. Marco's video looks a good player, according to many Australian reports. He's the real deal. Yes, that's why I was hoping some of the Australians might be on. It is a bit late. It's nearly midnight there, so trying to get the guys on from Australia at this time is really difficult. That's when I try and have one earlier in the week that is earlier so that we can get the guys from Australia on, because you're not really wanting them up at midnight to sit and listen to us chatting away. Heart is in the nets for the Champions League. I'll need a year's subscription to blood pressure tablets and a good supply of green beer. Right, Baz, you've seen a lot of Marco on YouTube. Baz, you've seen a lot of Marco on YouTube. I've watched a bit of it. See, the thing is with YouTube clips is they pick out the best moments. And like Big Chris Sutton said, you could go back to Chris Sutton's Chelsea days and you could put together a montage of a Sutton at Chelsea that would make him look good. Now we all know the reality. We all know the reality that is Sutton was way down the pecking order and he was woeful. That's how we managed to get him for so little money in the big picture of things. Anyway, Prosky Holland. Maybe I need to think more about the Europe, getting a good Europe in the Europa League. We said before the beginning of the season, it's paramount that we finish third. It is absolutely paramount that we finish third in this Champions League campaign. We never mind about second. Do you know that's just pipe dream stuff? Pipe dream stuff. Nitcham for a year. I wouldn't go near Nitcham with a bar's pole after what he's done this week. The fact that he turned around and phoned the manager a couple of hours before the game and said, "I'm not playing today." So for that reason, only Paul, I wouldn't go near Nitcham for love nor money, and I hope that we don't go backwards that way. I would just say Eddie in a 1 year. I think we need to look forward. We need to be in Europe after Christmas. I'd rather than a treble. No, I would rather have the treble and be in Europe after Christmas. It's paramount that we finish third. Absolutely paramount that we finish third in the Champions League. And I think Brendan and secretly the club will be hoping that, because when you do that and then if we can get a little good run in Europa, you know, you never know. You never know. You just never know. My point is Brendan is only going to get one big signing this season. The right chappy. Sorry, I must be beginning. Not worries about it. If we win our home games in the Jesus. Mark roughly says if we win our home games in the Champions League, I think we could get into the next. I don't want to get into the next round of the Champions League, to be fair. And I would rather drop down and have 2 or 3 games in the Europa, because it's going to be the last year that we can do it. So, you know, it's all you can go into the next round in the Champions League. You can get absolutely, you can get done over, and I don't think that will do this team any good. And I think when you look back to last year's games, I think the games in Europe, although you can learn a lot from them, I think it actually does us a little bit more harm than good. I think they've gotten weaker, Jota leaving, and been uninspiring signings. Yep, a lot of people are saying that. So, with that being said, we have been on for how long? 37 minutes. We better make an impact in Europa. Yes, we do. Is that our level, realistically? I mean, it's all nice and fine getting to the Champions League and getting that money and, you know, the kudos that comes with playing in the Champions League. And we all love that Champions League music. And believe me, I mean, I can think back to when they were doing their 9 in a row and I worked in this Masonic hellhole of a factory. And the pain that used to come on my face when that Champions League music came in when I was on night shift. And it was just like, you know, and the fact that we've never done it consistently for long periods over the last 20 years. You know, we've had domination in Scottish football for pretty much 20 years now, and we've not done anything. Take away 2003, you have to remember that we dropped out of the Champions League in 2003. So, you know, we haven't done good enough in Europe. So maybe, just maybe, Brendan is the man to shore up our defence when it comes to the Champions League. John Buse, you're just in the house far too late this evening. It is all about getting to the knockout, but what competition? I want to win a knockout tie. Again, is that too much to ask for? I want to win a knockout tie in the Europa, and then I want to win another one, and another one, and another one, and then see where that takes us. Anyway, on that note, let's say farewell, bon voyage, hasta luego, and we'll call it quits for the night. As you'll see tomorrow morning's video, it's been absolutely fantastic, and it's a bit underwhelming of an ending, just like our signings this season. What do you think? If we want progress, it feels like we're going backwards. Yes, come on, dare to dream. I was at 2 home games the Celtic completed, just didn't take our chances. This is true. A year experience and a year better. Are we any better? With only one recognised striker as it stands. So, anyway, love I guess the last message. And evening. Cheers to everyone. Have patience. Have patience. Yes, do have some patience, and then let's get one last one. I think we'll have a good. What's that one? Then I get away to watch the Sevco game. No, I'm going out. I'm not going to watch the Sevco game. I'm going out for a wee drink with the missus. Anyway, on that note, have a great evening, everyone, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Good evening, goodbye, adios. Have a great night, Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party.